Hello, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to our fourth day, 11th session of FDP, the Sustainable Materials for Smart Cities, Challenges and Recent Trends, sponsored by Atal Academy. And today our session chief guest is Dr. M. Sivakumar sir, NIT Calicut. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of the Department of Civil Engineering and SR Engineering College. I welcome you personally, sir, and I welcome all the participants to this FDP. And I would like to call upon Ikramullah Khan to give a brief about our today's session chief guest, Dr. Sivakumar, sir.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Thank you very much. So let me introduce our chief guest, Dr. M. Sivakumar, sir. Sir has completed his undergraduation from PSNA College of Engineering and Technology and PG from Urban Engineering College of Anna University, Chennai, and PhD from NIT Calicut in Transportation Engineering. Sir is presently working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at NIT Calicut from June 2010 to till date. Sir has a professional experience in teaching as well as research for 14 years, especially in road materials characterization, pavement analysis and design, pavement construction and evaluation. Sir has a professional membership in IRC, in Indian Society for Technical Education India, and associate member for American Society of Civil Engineers, United States. And he's a journal reviewer for Review Journal of Transportation Engineering, Part B, Payments, ASCE Publications. So with this brief overview, I would like to welcome Dr. M. Sivakumar, sir, to hand over the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I think during the presentation, to save the bandwidth, shall I mute my video?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's not an issue.
Okay. Shall we start that then?
Yes, sir.
So I'm sharing my screen. The slide is visible, Dr. Rajesh?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So for today's session, so I have selected the title as Sustainable Bituminous Pavement, Materials and Methods, especially in the context of smart city solutions, how we can have a bituminous pavement as a sustainable one by using sustainable materials and sustainable construction methods and design methods like that. So whenever we talk about the sustainable solution, the solution should also be an economical one. Cost-effective materials should be used. At the same time, cost-effective construction technology should be followed. That is one of the points we need to remember when the sustainability is implemented. So when the smart city context, we see that. So these are the 5 S's, that is under these 5 topics I want to discuss the information which I have gathered from different resources available in the Google itself. So it will be easy for you later on the presentation is over, you can verify the resources which are available in the Google also. So most of the information given here, it is gathered from different resources available in the online. Okay. So I have given the links also for each as a reference, so you can verify that. So when we talk about the smart city and then the smart infrastructure, sustainable materials and sustainable methods, including the sustainable construction technologies, it should be, as I indicated in the first slide itself, it should be economical one. And when it is implemented, the environment should be saved. That means environment friendly methodology should be followed. Then there should be a benefit for the society also. So in terms of benefit, if you see that the society should not get any affected or disadvantages from the technology which is implemented there. So when we talk about the smart city, it has, yes, Dr. Rajesh.
I think that's
Dr. Rajesh,
these three things.
Sir.
am I audible?
Sir, audible,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Audible.
Oh, okay. No. Just there was a discussion. That's why I stopped. Okay. So when we look at as per the smart city components, even though there are many components, if you look at the top one, which are called as smart infrastructure and smart mobility and smart energy, which are mostly related to the greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so how effectively we can construct, or if you select the material as a smart material and design the payments, then construct. During the construction also, the energy saving methodology should be followed. At the same time, the construction methodology also should be environment friendly. Next, as far as possible, the methodology followed for the construction of the payment should be energy saving. That should be a smart energy can be applicable. Then only we can ensure that the mobility in the smart city can be very smart. Okay, that means here the smart mobility I am taking in terms of the payment side as a smooth riding quality. Because if the payments are not designed in a smart way, then when smart mobility cannot be ensured because of the deterioration of payments by n number of factors. Okay, so my session will be concentrating on these three components for the smart city solutions. So as per the smart city mission, the guidelines which are given by the Ministry of Urban Development and Government of India, so these are the smart solutions under that. So 21 solutions they have initiated and then they published that. So among this, the transportation sector, these components, that is from the 13 to 18, how we are going to solve it in the payment construction or payment material selection. Okay, so it may be just a recall of, because all of us know what is that smart city, what are the components and then solutions. Okay, so the features of smart city also would have been discussed. Being a 11th session of this program, it may be a repetition, but to recall the smart city components, how I am taking to the payment concern, that's why I have indicated here. So when we take the features of the smart city, so I am specifically taking these 4 points. There are n number of points indicated in the guidelines, but these 4 points are with respect to the road infrastructure. So mainly the smart city is implemented for promoting the mixed land use. So the mixed land use means commercial activity as well as the residential activity or educational activity, everything will be there in a single platform. So the mixed land use will help for growth of the people, which is unplanned area also. The people who are living in the unplanned area, there may be an area which are not receiving any implementation for last decade also, if we take it. But when we take the smart city, even at the corners, that is the tail end points also, it will be connected by providing the better transportation facility by means of constructing the better road infrastructure. Okay, so based on that, we can promote that the transit-oriented development. So once these roads are implemented in such a quality that where the people can occupy both the sides of that, we know the transit-oriented developments, and the more implementation or the promotion of public usage, that is public transport usage, we can increase. At the same time, we can connect even the last point of the country. So by applying the smart solution, how actually this road infrastructure can be designed by selecting the smart materials or sustainable materials, we are going to discuss in this presentation. So when we think about the sustainability, so mainly we'll be discussing that, this definition also we know that, but mainly in terms of the GHG, that is greenhouse gas emissions, I am concerned more on the Indian conditions, that is it is ranked third in 2017, that is emissions in 2017 in the metric ton of CO2 is 2467, that is, it is contributing for the global emission nearly 6.8%, even though it is 6.8%, but it is ranked 3 in the contribution. Okay, so when we take that, according to the carbon brief data publication, in 2018 alone, 1.8 tons of CO2 per capita we contributed to the global emissions, okay, from the Indian. So what are the sources of this pollution or these emissions? If you take it, mainly the major concern, if you take it, it is 45%, okay, or around 45% to the air pollution is dust and construction construction of the infrastructure. It may be a building or the road or anything. And again, the movement of the vehicle, that is the transport, it also contributes 14%. So if you add it, nearly 59% is contributed by the transportation sector plus the residential construction or any other construction activity. So for the construction activity, movement of materials by the transportation becomes the important role. Then automatically the service, that is the road, should be providing the smooth riding and quality. Then only the vehicles will move with the desired speed. If not, if the roads are not in good condition, then automatically speeds will come down. So more amount of fuel will be, unburned fuel will be there, fossil fuels, then automatically the emissions will be increasing. When more number of vehicles are moving slow condition, then automatically the emission in that particular location, the contribution will be high. Next, if you see that, the waste burning only 17%. And we may think that the industry may contribute more, but it contributes only 8%. So here major portion is contributed by the construction activity and then the dust developed from the different resources. And from 2000 to 2020, it is projected that there will be 30% with the reduction in emission intensity by 2030 if we implement such a sustainable technology in the construction sector, then we can reduce that. So here the y-axis is given in terms of metric tons of CO2 emission. So this is how the 3 strategies are planned. So the first strategy, if you take it, business as a usual scenario. As usual scenario means whatever the vehicles which are running now with the same, the combustion engines, internal combustion engines, if the same vehicles are used, then by 2050, we may be producing more CO2, that is around 4,600 megatons, 4,600 megatons of CO2 emissions will be produced. So that will be equivalent to 2.1 billions of the passenger cars emissions. Okay, it is equivalent. Passenger car units we have taken because the transportation, it will be taken equivalent to the passenger car units. Okay, so here the passenger cars are taken. If 2.1 billions of cars are, it is there, then the number of vehicles equivalent to that, it is 2.1. Okay, but whereas the second strategy, if you take the electrification and automation, that is the second strategy, electrification and automation, not again it will be individual, not by sharing. Okay, so there it will be reduced to 1,700 megatons of CO2. Whereas if you go for electrification, automation and plus sharing, that is more of public transport usage and electric vehicles as well as the non-motorized vehicle, especially for the bicycle usage, then we can reduce to 0.5 millions of passenger cars, that is 700 megatons of CO2 can be achieved there. So it will be a huge reduction if you apply the third strategy. So these are the 3 strategies are proposed. So how to become a carbon neutral? So if you understand how the emissions based on the utilities or fuel or travel or the papers or the shipping industries or the packaging, all those resources, then we can directly apply the strategies to reduce by effective energy, that is eco-friendly energy usage and supply chain as well as the infrastructure area also. That is one of the ways, the second stage. So automatically the balance can be achieved by the carbon neutral one. Okay, so that the carbon footprint can be used. So if more cycle usage is there. Just if you see this graph, it will be more usage. That is to reduce to zero the carbon emissions, reduce to zero. It can be used by the bicycle, but it may practically it may not be possible because it will take more travel time. So that is different. But if you take the bottommost one, or SUV or solo driver individual vehicle usage, it will reduce only 1.6. To reduce only 1.6 pounds per passenger mile. Okay. So this is the reason why the sustainable material should be used in the pavement construction. Next one, the immediate solution will be the strategies or stages of road construction. If you see that, once the materials are selected and then pavements are designed, it is constructed. During the service life, there will be a rehabilitation. Even after the rehabilitation, there may be a progress of deterioration or the cracking or rutting or any kind of failures may take place. There will be a point the material may be coming to the end of life. That means after that point, the materials cannot be used. Those materials, if the life of the material is end, that means it is not satisfying the desired properties. It may be aggregate or the binder or the roads materials. Okay, then it can be disposed. Suppose if it is retained some quality, it can be used further more, then it can be reused. It can be reused as it is. Otherwise, if we can go for recycling, that means the recycling here is by adding some more regenerators or the new or virgin materials. That means if the binder quality or binder quantity is less, then we can add some more quantity of the binder to the existing mix. Then remix it and then again we can construct it. Okay, so likewise, reuse, for example, if the aggregates are taken, recycled aggregates directly, we can reuse it. That is one of the way. Okay, but we have to be concerned about the recycling or the reuse technology can be a cost effective or renewable, as well as it should be sustainable. So this is one of the problem why we are going for the sustainable materials, that is scarcity of aggregates. So most of the hills are disappearing now. There are no hills now with good quality of rocks. Everything is taken away. So that is this is one of the picture in Kerala location, which is published in Manorama News. Okay, where these aggregates are taken away to break it and then segregate as are producing different size of aggregates for constructing the buildings, or it may be any construction. Mainly, it is for the road construction also. So next to the building construction, the major contribution for the aggregate is for road construction. It may be a bituminous pavement or cement concrete pavement. So when you take the case of bituminous pavement, there are different layers. Of course, the natural soil subgrade will be the same material or the material which is brought from the long location, which is to meet the CBR of 10% and become compacted. So that is part, but just above the subgrade, if you see that, it starts from the granular materials where the aggregate usage is getting more. Okay, so all the top 4 layers, that is, if you consider as above the subgrade, all the 4 structures or 4 layers are consisting large amount of coarse aggregates. So intermediate and surface layer where the bituminous materials are used, that is the binder, bitumen binder is used, then again there the bitumen is one of the material used for binding the aggregates. So that also it's taken care in the first top 2 layers. Okay, what will happen over the period? For example, if you recall, when we designed the pavement as per IRC 37, the IRC guidelines, we may design for taking some 20 MSA or 50 MSA million standard axles, maybe for 500 mm thickness we are designing. After the rehabilitation period, the thickness may increased by the rate of increase in traffic growth. That means the axle load is increasing, automatically the overlay will be provided to increase or to strengthen the pavement characteristics, at the same time to the functional characteristics. Okay, so over a period, what will happen means, just I will go back. This material, wherever it is disappeared here, this will be found here as a huge hill. That means we are taking the material in some location that is reused or used for constructing another hill on the road itself. It will become a more aggregate hill. So in order to avoid that more amount of material, that means if you keep on constructing the overlay, the bottom laying layer will be having the aggregates which may be in reuse of material. That means the good quality materials may be there. It may be it may not have 100% quality, but it may have even 70 or 60 or even 80%. Okay, so likewise it can be there, but those materials will be lying just like that below the overlying layers. So here the technology implemented is recycling. That means whatever the materials already there in the existing bitumen, that can be recycled for construction of the pavement layers as additionals. Okay, so here as I told, one of the resources I have referred for the sustainable bituminous pavement is the publications which are published 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. There are 4 publications under the sustainable pavements. So mainly these 2 are referred, which is published by National Asphalt Pavement Association. Okay, so based on this, I'm taking to the sustainable pavements. In addition to those 2 books, I also referred the FHA, that is Federal Highway Administration, US Department Transportation publication, as well as the NCHRP publication, the report 708. So these 4 documents I have taken for the taking sustainability definition and how the sustainable bituminous pavements can be designed and constructed and maintained. Okay, so this definition we all know, and one of the definition which is recognized all over the world, I think. So the Brundtland Commission, which is given 1987 itself, that is, humanity has the ability to make development sustainable to ensure that it meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation. Okay, future generation to meet that. This definition, all of us know that. Okay, so I'm taking the same quote. Otherwise, as a longer definition as per FHW, if we take, mainly the sustainable means to achieve the engineering goals. So here the engineering comes into picture, engineering goals for which they were constructed. Next, to preserve, of course, ideally to restore surrounding ecosystems. Wherever the roads are constructed, the ecosystem should not be affected. Okay, so for example, road constructed in the city or the open area or within the forest area, it should have different construction technology without affecting the ecosystems. That is one of the points to be remembered, and to make use of the financial, human and environmental resources economically. Okay, so this should be economical also, and to meet the basic human needs such as all the factors, that is the health, safety, equity, employment, all these factors should be met. So this is a long definition which is given by FHWA. As far as sustainable payment, in sustainability in payment, if we take it, a sustainable payment can be defined. So this we can recall while designing the payment, the aim of the payment or the aim of the road is to provide a safe and efficient movement or the effective movement which is constructed by economic resources. That is recalled here as a safe, efficient and environmental friendly payment that meets today's transportation needs without compromising the ability of future needs. That is the main thing. So here, mainly on the transportation sector, if you take the bituminous payments are mostly constructed. Even in the Indian case, if you take, more than 90% of the roads which are constructed are bituminous payments. That is the black top road by color if you identify. Okay, so in this one, the top layers, the wearing course or the binder course or even the base course can be constructed with the bituminous materials. Okay. So these materials will be having different actions. So that functions and then how it can be satisfied, we can see in the further slides. So that is the principal criteria for selecting this sustainable payment or to design the sustainable payment is mainly optimizing the use of natural resources. That is, as far as possible, if you take the aggregates, we can reduce the virgin aggregate use. That is, instead of using new aggregate always for the construction, we can reuse of recycled aggregates. That is one of the way. Okay. Next, reducing the impacts of greenhouse effect by providing smart technology as well as the eco-friendly construction technology. We can reduce the greenhouse effect. This is during the road construction. Then, if the roads are maintained in such a quality that it can provide smooth riding quality, then automatically the GHG emissions also will be reduced during the operation of vehicle. Next, to limit the pollution, that is air, water, ground, noise, anything. During construction, the noise pollution should be controlled. That is by reducing the number of equipments or the vehicles used, okay, or eco-friendly technology. Then, health, that is improving the health, safety and risk prevention, especially the human resources which are involved in road construction activities. Okay, during the construction, the health, safety and risk should be taken care. Next, high level of user comfort. Then once the construction is over, the high level of user comfort, that is road users should have more comfort. So when we talk about the energy consumption, it is mainly on construction, maintaining, rehabilitation and recycling of payments. All these 4 stages, it will be taken care for the energy consumption. Because of the payment, sustainability in the payment, there may be, that is, when we go for the smart city as well as the new development of project, then there will be our new road development, there will be habitat loss also. Either the people who are living there may get affected, otherwise, the people who are living far away from the new roads may move near to the road. So the habitat loss as well as the fragmentation as well as there will be change in the locality, and the quality, water quality or hydrological cycle may change. The air quality may get affected when the new payment is getting implemented. So all these components are contributing to the sustainability. How this can be achieved? These are the 3 stages I am going to discuss in this presentation. First stage is material production. Second stage is how it can be constructed. And third stage is how effectively this payment can be designed with the sustainability implications. So these 3 major components will be discussed. Under the material production stage, if you take, it refers to the raw material. Okay, it is the raw material and how it is processed and what are the equipments used for the production of bituminous mixes. That is the raw materials, how it is mixed and then how it is laid and constructed. So the production of bituminous mix also major concern here. So if you take the components, it can be aggregate or binder or modifier. It may be a modifier, bitumen modifier, otherwise as additive can be added. So otherwise we can go for alternate materials also. So mainly for these 3 material components, we have to identify what are the alternatives. For example, recycled aggregates can be used. Instead of hot mixed asphalt, that means hot mixed and hot laid bituminous mixes, we can go for warm mixed asphalt or cold mixed asphalt. That means with reduction in mixing as well as compaction temperature or even the ambient temperature, we can go ahead. So for that, these are the objectives. One of the objectives is reduce the amount of virgin aggregate used. Okay, reduce the amount of virgin aggregate. So here the virgin aggregate is the raw aggregate which is new, which is not used in the road construction, which are going to be used. Okay, so aggregate material objective, if we take it for improving the sustainability, the approach will be mostly from the recycled and waste materials, RCWM. Okay, and if you take it with the economic impact, it can save more cost of new aggregates. Next, environmental effect, if you take it, it will be more recycling is taking place, so environment will be saved. That means more number of hills will not be demolished. That means less usage of raw aggregates. Then social effect is preserving the virgin aggregate sources. That means one of the advantage for the strategy. Second one is reduce the impact of virgin aggregate acquisition and processing. So the aggregates which are meeting the high quality, that is the required quality of the MORTH standards or IRC standards or Indian standards, that may not be available in the near to the road which is going to be constructed. It may be brought from the long distance. Then that transportation, thus storage, as all those processes can be avoided by recycling the aggregates. And this is the example. So thereby we can reduce the number of vehicles used for transporting the aggregates from the long distance. That is reducing the impact of aggregate transportation. That is one of the strategy can be adopted. Okay, so then that is for the aggregate point of view. Then we take the number of layers. We know that flexible pavement composition have surface course, binder course, base course, granular surface course, and compactor soil subgrade. So of course, since it is a bituminous course, we will be more concerned about the top 3 layers. Okay, so topmost layer is a more contact to the traffic which are flying on the carriageway, okay, or the paved surface. So it is expected that such a quality to provide smooth and safe riding surface, it should exhibit the resistance to cracking under fatigue loads, especially the second layer, binder course layer as well as the base layer. Okay, then it should have excellent load carrying capacity as well as the capability. That means when the load is distributed, we know that in the bituminous pavement, grind to grind distribution is taking place. So when it distributed from the top layer to the bottom layer, it should have more reduction. It should have good load carrying capability. At the same time, the load stresses should be reduced by the thickness designed there, each layer thickness. Then it should be impermeable. That is, the top layer should be impermeable. So we will be going for mostly dense graded bituminous mixes. Then it should be stable. That means the top layer materials which are used for the top layer construction, surface course layer construction, it should be stable under heavy loads. Most of the roads in Indian condition, if you remember, the roads are not failing because of the more load repetitions or environmental characteristics alone. It is mainly failing because of the heavy loads. That means more than the legal load permitted. More than the legal load permitted, it is transported. So automatically the costs to the payment is very high. That is one of the factors needs to be considered while designing the payment layers. Then it should be durable under all weather conditions. That is one of the aim by providing the payments. Then how, in the sustainability point of view, what are the factors to be considered while designing the bituminous mixes? So for that, we should identify what are the causes and effect. Suppose if the mix is designed or the produced production mixture, insufficient mix temperature is maintained or insufficient compaction temperature is maintained during the production and construction of the pavement, then it may lead to insufficient binder coating. Because of the temperature is low, insufficient binder coating will be there, then automatically the aggregate will not be fully covered by the bitumen binder. So the aggregates, if you see that the left hand picture, it is showing more white patches, that is without coating. Then automatically what will happen, if first monsoon itself, these aggregates may degrade. Okay, that is, it will come out as a raveling part, stripping as well as raveling, and then degradation of aggregates may take place. Okay, so because of the insufficient binder coating, there may be a loss of friction between the aggregates. Next one, suppose if it is insufficient compaction or insufficient air voids are there, that means compaction should be sufficient. At the same time, there should not be more compacted. Then it will become insufficient air voids. Okay, then it will lead to this kind of cracks on the pavement layers. That is, longitudinal cracks from the top down will take place. Okay, and mostly if it is cracks are structural, then it will be a progressive cracks. Then it will lead to pavement deterioration. So these are the main the major problems which we face in the bituminous pavements. So how the bituminous mix can play a role for controlling these three failures, that is permanent deformation, otherwise called rutting, fatigue cracking, or stripping and raveling. Okay, so for this, how the bituminous mix can play a role for controlling these failures, we can discuss. Okay, so the plain bitumen, these are the reason. Mostly the plain bitumens are used, but that may not be capable to satisfy these conditions. So we have to go for modified bitumen. Okay. And as I already indicated that repeated application of axial load stresses, especially heavily loaded. Next, if you see that there are two types of rutting, one is mix and then the pavement rutting. So mixed rutting can be controlled by designing the bituminous mixes with sustainable materials also. So mainly these moisture as well as the temperature effects are to be considered while designing the mixes, that is during the mix design stage. And if you look for the alternative materials, the aggregates, we know that there are more number of alternative aggregates have come into picture, and especially if you take the fillers. Okay, in the fillers component, these are the main function of filler is to fill the voids. At the same time, it will be acting as a binder extender. Binder extender, that is, the fillers will be absorbing the bitumen as well as it will also act as a binder, that is like a bituminous mastic. Okay, so it is only with the filler. So there are more alternate fillers are practiced and more research have been done in this area. So if you look at the more what is the function, that is what is the role of filler here, means it can give, that is it depends on the type of filler and the filler content in the bituminous mix can control the they can provide better raveling resistance, better temperature cracking resistance, better fatigue resistance, better rutting resistance, better stripping resistance. So if you take by natural property, some of the alternate fillers are having anti-stripping property. Okay, so that will become more economical also. So these are some example it is presented here. For example, the alternate material for the fillers: ceramic waste dust or recycled brick dust, coal fly ash, marble dust, granite dust, sewage sludge ash or rice husk ash, coal waste powder, bauxite residue, copper tailing or limestone sludge. There are only some it is listed here. All these alternate materials are used, that means it is reused in the filler quantity, and it is also tested. The research have been done. It is all are satisfying, and then it is improving the property. For example, the marshal stability, rutting resistance, fatigue resistance, low temperature cracking, as well as the moisture susceptibility of the bituminous mixes, mainly the OBC. OBC, it's got improved. That means some of the fillers lower the OBC and some of the fillers it is increased the OBC because of the surface area. So the reference also it's given, so later on it can be checked. Next, while selecting the bitumen for the mixes, as we know now, viscosity graded bitumen is used in Indian road constructions. Okay, so there are 4 grades: VG40, 30, 20, and VG10. It is in terms of thousands. Okay, viscosity in terms of thousands. Okay, so if you take as a rut resistant mix, then I may select the VG40, that is highly stressed area, or such as those in intersection or near toll booths, where the high stresses will be implemented, which may be causing fatigue cracks as well as the rutting. I can go for VG40. Whereas the fatigue crack it needs more softened grade bitumen, means I can go for VG10. For Indian conditions, mostly it is tropical conditions, so VG30 is mostly preferred for the pavement, the bituminous pavement construction, that you can see in the code books itself. So here, this table is taken from IRC 111/2009. And bitumen specification, that is the property of the plain bitumen. We can verify IS 73/2013 publication. Okay, where the viscosity grade bitumen started in use. So this particular table will give you which what are the properties should be tested on bitumen and what are the values it should be. So the specifications are given by IS 73/2013. So major concern is the gradation. We'll take absolute viscosity, whereas the mixing and compaction temperature we take kinematic viscosity. So these are the correlations. So this particular picture, which is published by Professor Murali Krishna, IIT Madras 2019 in paper, I have taken from him. So this particular picture, if you take it, this will give what are the bitumen tests should be conducted related to the performance expected from the bituminous mixes. That is permanent deformation, or the low temperature cracking resistance, or fatigue cracking resistance, or stiffness. So for that, this performance oriented test. So majority of these tests are included in super pave mix design. Super pave mix design, the majority tests are included so that it can be superior performing bituminous pavements. And as far as Indian condition, for blind bitumen, we use only the top penetration test, penetration index, softening point test, or capillary viscometer test as per IS 73 2013, and standards are available in IS 462 for modified bitumen. And for aggregate properties concerned, especially the size and shape or porosity or the strength, toughness or hardness, these are the properties of the aggregates. The respective standards are given both Bureau of Indian Standards as well as the ASTM standards. So all the states should be satisfying the requirements which are given by IRC guidelines or more the Ministry of Road Transport Highways guidelines. Then when we select the bituminous mix, as I indicated, for the dense graded mix, IRC 111 gives dense bituminous mix as a DBM, or semi-dense bituminous concrete SDBC, and bituminous concrete BC. As I understood, SDBC is not recommended nowadays. Only bituminous concrete and dense bituminous macadams are practiced now in the field. Next, how the mix should be designed. So here there are three technology followed. One is hot bituminous mixture, warm bituminous mixture, cold bituminous mixture. This may be you may be remembering hot mix asphalt, warm mix asphalt, cold mix asphalt. That is during the mixing, laying, as well as the compaction stage. If it is compacted between 150 to 180, mixing, laying, compacting process is there, then it is hot bituminous mixes. Suppose if it is 110 to 140, then it becomes warm bituminous mix. Then if it is 15 to 40 degrees Celsius, that is cold bituminous mix. Mostly it will be in the atmospheric temperature, it will be constructed. So for this, the mix design guidelines are available. Asphalt mix design methods, manual series 2, 7th edition is also there, and then next edition also is come up. Next, for super pave mix design, super pave guidelines are published as special publication. Okay. Next, that design guidelines will be available in NCHRP, and this, as far as Indian conditions, still we are following the Marshall method of mix design, which is given by Asphalt Mix Design Methods Manual Series 2, MS2. And construction, what are the new developments have taken place for the sustainability point of view if we take? There are pavements constructed with self-healing property, that is in the bituminous mix itself. As we discussed in the previous slides, fatigue cracking or the cracking is one of the factors which causes deterioration of pavements. Okay, so if the pavements are, that is the bituminous mixes are self-healing capability is there, then automatically it can be rectified itself, that is the healing based on the healing property. So for that, nowadays there are some nanofibers or microcapsules are used as a heating elements within the bituminous mixture itself, so that by microwave radiations which are developed within that itself, it can be, that is from the solar radiation, it can absorb the heat, or by the vehicle movement also the heat can be generated, and it can be self-healed, that is the cracking can be get closed. Okay, so that is one of the self-healing pavement is one of the sustainable technology followed. So this is the process which explains the self-healing properties, that is after heating how the cracks are getting healed, okay, or closed. And there are studies proven that the self-healing technology is also becoming successful based on bitumen properties, bituminous mix composition, and based on environment characteristics also. So for example, if you take the bitumen properties, bitumen type, viscous elastic properties, surface free energy, aging, diffusion, and modifier characteristics also studied by many researchers. Whereas in the bituminous mix composition, bitumen content plays main role, and aggregate structure, gradation effect, and how much thickness as a single layer it is designed, that also it is studied, and environmental characteristics, temperature effect, and loading history, and the rest period, that is between the axles as well as between one vehicle to another vehicle, how the rest period is considered, then the effect of moisture on the bituminous mixes, that also taken into consideration during the research. Another technology is harvesting energy from the pavement. This is one of the technology is coming up, but still is under research, I think so. Okay, so based on the NCHRP report I have taken from there, so we can also harvest the energy from the vehicles which are moving on the road surface by keeping the capsules or the piezoelectric meters. Then we can take another method, solar panel on pavement. This is also coming up, but only thing is the loading capability, that is still under research. As I understood, I don't remember any roads constructed here in Kerala, and the solar panels can be used under the wheel path, directly under the wheel path, so that even during the movement of the vehicle, it can be generated, that is energy can be, heat energy can be generated. Next one, while designing the flexible pavement, this is one of the method, that is MEPD, mechanistic empirical pavement design. Now after 2001, IRC 37 also follows the mechanistic empirical pavement design with some compromisation. Okay, so where the material quality and then traffic will be considered, the characteristics are considered for designing the pavement, and the mixes will be tested in the laboratory for the with the prediction of responses. Then it will be redesigned, that is number of iterations will be tried, then the best will be recommended for the road construction. So these are the two references I have taken for the design of flexible pavements. For design guidelines, IRC 37 2018, and for the standards of materials or the thicknesses, more specifications. So as we discussed in the previous slides, rutting criteria is a major one where the mechanical response is observed. So the models also consider for both 80% reliability as well as the 90% reliability in IRC 37, and also the fatigue criteria where the mixed volumetric, that is volumetric property in terms of volume of air voids and volume of effective bitumen also considered in the fatigue criteria, since the volumetric property is contributing to the fatigue failure of the pavement. So both the criteria is considered with the mechanical response. And for the sustainability point of view, there are 6 cross-section compositions are given in the IRC 37. There, introduction of sustainable materials, sustainable technology also it is introduced in number of layers. If you see that, generally these are the different composition in the pavement layers. So if you look at the bituminous layer, the top was mixed. So the top layer should be a rut resistant layer, and the bottom layer, that is the bottom as a intermediate or binder course layer, it should be a fatigue resistant layer. Okay, so when we select the bituminous mix and then if it is designed, it should meet both the criteria. That is, the bituminous mix which is used in the top layer should be a rut resistant. Bituminous mix which is used in the second layer, that is the binder course layer, it should be fatigue resistance to avoid the fatigue cracking as well as the rutting failure. Okay, so this is the general composition. In the IRC 37, if you take that, to avoid the cracking, the granular crack relief layer is introduced so that the bituminous pavements can have less cracking over the during in service period. That is one of the, so here granular, only the aggregate layer will be used as a crack relieving layer as a addition to the general layers. Next one, it can be relieved as SAMI, stress absorbing membrane interface. Okay, this is also for crack relieving as well as the stress which are coming from the top surface, it can be observed and then it can be reduced to the bottom laying layer. Okay, but if you look at the base layer and sub-base layer, it is CTB and CTSB, that is cement treated base layers and cement treated sub-base layers. So the base layers and sub-base layers also bound layers. Earlier composition it was unbound, here unbound are treated, whereas here it becomes a bound layer. Then automatically the stress reduction will become less. That means on the top of the subgrade it will be less stress will be implemented. Next one, this is one of the sustainable technology we can consider, that is emulsion or foam bitumen stabilized recycled asphalt pavement as well as the virgin aggregates. Okay, so in the base layer, emulsion or foam bitumen treated or stabilized recycled asphalt pavements can be used as a base layer. This is one of the technology where we can save a lot of virgin aggregates. And in that layer, the bottom layers, its ESP layer should be cement treated sub base. Okay. Next, this is the fifth composition as well as the sixth composition also same. So here the main component is, among all the 6 composition, if you see that there are provisions to use sustainable technology for construction of each layer. That is what I want to indicate here. So we can accommodate sustainable technology in the pavement design stage itself. One of the technology which I want to specifically discuss is recycling of pavements. That is, if the pavements is damaged. So here the damage of pavements which are not containing any fibers. Okay, if the fibers are there, that is not suitable for recycling. Okay, so only the plain bituminous mixes used, then we can take that pavement as a recycling pavement, can be milled. And one of the technology, there are hard technology as well as cold mix technology also. Okay, so I would recommend, as a sustainability point of view, recycling can be done with the cold mill and then cold recycle. That can be followed for the sustainability point of view. But even hot mixed also, it is sustainable only because we are reusing. The problem in the hot mix will be more number of equipments with high emissions. It will be used in the inside, that is in situ construction. It will be causing more pollution. That is one of the problem arises, even though it is a sustainable technology. That's why I would recommend the cold method. Okay. So once the materials are milled, that is the damaged pavements are milled, it can be, the materials can be brought to the central plant, or in the site itself it can be designed and then it can be constructed. So as I told, even in the bituminous pavement as well as the cement concrete pavement, it can be recycled. So the method, surface, cold mix and hot mix. Surface method also both cold and hot in the place, that is central plant as well as in the S1 in the in situ construction can be followed. Among that, the cold mix, if we take cold in place or cold mix technology in central plant, that is bring the materials to the central plant in the nearby location itself. It can be broken and then redesigned, that is mix can be designed and then it can be transported for the site. Both can be followed in the cold mix one. This is what I was talking about. There will be a chain of equipments as well as the vehicles will be used for construction, in situ construction of recycled asphalt pavement. Okay. So recycling of bituminous pavement or asphalt pavement will be one of the sustainable technology can be followed. Next one, cold mix technology. As I indicated, the cold mix technology can be followed for the sustainable pavements. There are evidence they practiced. As I understood, there were 2 technologies. One is Bitchem, along with CRRI they were there. Now it is separated, I think so. So the Bitchem they constructed and then they proven that the cold mix technology can be utilized and it can be effective and environment friendly also during the construction. So for the construction activity as well as after the construction also, it will be eco-friendly. Even in the Kerala also, there are trial sections were constructed with the cold mix technology by using emulsions, especially with the premix carpet layers are constructed. But here the technology followed with Hinkal. They also have a cold mix technology. So the heat and cold technology is used in Kerala. So where the cold mix can be used? One is in the top bearing course, the cold mix can be used. But when we use the cold mix technology, so far it is low volume roads, it is recommended, as I understood. And whereas the binder course and base course, as we discussed in IRC 37 2018 code book, we can use it in binder course as well as bituminous course, the cold mixed one. That is bitumen emulsion treated base course, sub-base course. Okay. And one of the course I want to specify here is as a base layer, cold mixed bituminous macadam, CMBM. Okay. It is a open graded bituminous mixer where it will be giving the function of base course layer. There we can use the bitumen emulsion treated layers. The specifications are given in IRC SP 100 2014. IRC SP 100 2014. It is available. So these are the specification, and some of the aggregate tests which are based on IS 2386 part 1 to 5. It is there. Even we can recommend, we can refer ASTO standards as well as ASTM standards also. MS14 Asphalt Institute manual series number 14. MS14 is on cold mix. And the gradation requirement also, it is given in the 50 mm thickness. For example, 50 mm cold bituminous macadam, that thickness also given. So when we design the mix criteria, we can follow the IRC SP 100, and now the methodology as well as the technology also available for construction. And these are the indicative measures. If you remember, for Marshall stability value at 60 degree, that is in the pavement temperature, it should be of 900 kg. Whereas for cold mix, it is minimum at 25 degrees C, it is 350. It is 350. And Marshall flow value at 60 degree, the maximum is 4 mm, minimum is 2 mm. Okay, acceptable limit 2 to 4. Whereas for cold mix at 25 degrees C, maximum is 8 mm. Okay, and percentage wise is one of the important factor in CMBM. If you see that for the dense graded mix, we take it is 3 to 5%, whereas here it is 10 to 14%. And binder content also, that is not as a emulsion content after settling, that is residual bitumen content should be minimum of 3.5%. Okay, so these are the design specifications as per IRC SP 100 2014. And the bitumen emulsion classification, we know that, so that also available. Rapid setting or medium setting or slow setting emulsion can be used, depends on the purpose. Okay, so mainly the RS1, if you take rapid setting bitumen emulsion, because of the quick setting, it can be used for the tack coat. Okay, for the road mix, mostly medium setting emulsion will be used for mixing the preparation of mixes. Especially for the DBM and BC mix, there we can go for slow setting also. So the advantage of cold bituminous macadam is it can be mixed and laid and compacted with the ambient temperature, that is in the air temperature itself, and this can be used the roads which are constructed in hilly areas. Mostly it will be, because without affecting the that is the wildlife. That means eco also it is maintained, eco-friendly material as a technology, as well as there won't be any disturbance by lot of emissions which is produced during the cut mix. That can be avoided by implementing cold bituminous macadam or cold mix technology. So as a summary, so when you go for the sustainable infrastructure development, the economy, environment and societal benefit, that is economical benefit as well as environmental benefit and social benefit should be considered for implementing any sustainable technology. That is the point I want to mention as a summary of this presentation. Okay, so I would like to acknowledge these standards, that is MORTH, Bharatmala, as well as the that is the scheme for the present one, and then the Bureau of Indian Standards, ASTM standards also for the references. And big thanks for the participants for the patient listening, and AACT as well as Atal and the management of SR Engineering College, and especially Dr. K. Rajesh Kumar for the opportunity given to me. So thank you. Dr. Rajesh.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your nice presentation, sir. It's from the base you started and given that most of the informations regarding the asphalt exclusively for bitumen and bitumen based. Thanks, one and all, sir. And the participants, you can raise the question. Yes, sir. Still they are coming on there. They are typing in that. So better
Yes.
in that time I can ask my question, sir, as usual.
Yes,
Sir, in
okay.
this the fibers also they added, sir. That is in the bitumen mix. Some of the area fibers they added. He told
Yes.
that some of the ashes also you can add, like marble
Yeah,
dust
fly
ashes.
ash.
So many things
Yes,
you
yes,
can
yes.
add.
Panda
But
can be
what is the
used.
dosage, the recommended dosage of a fiber, or if I am adding some fillers? So what is the
Okay.
recommended dosages of all sustainable materials based on
Okay,
the
okay, okay. As far as
stability purposes?
okay. Bituminous concrete grade 2 we tried by using by replacing the stone dust filler with the 25% and 50% as well as the 100% by fly ash. Okay, fly ash. So when you take only 25% of filler, replace this with fly ash, it was giving better performance as with respect to the fatigue cracking as well as the rutting cracking. So this 25% means in the BC gradation, that is bituminous concrete gradation 2, the filler material is 7%, that is 84 grams. Okay. So in that one, the 84 grams, 25% of that 84 gram is replaced with fly ash. So when you take fly ash, because of the fineness of the fly ash as well as the property, water absorption as well as the other properties, pH values, everything. So based on that, only 25% are satisfying as per the research done in NIT Calicut. Okay. Whereas there are papers, research available in the research platform, up to 40% also they are satisfying as far as fly ash concerned.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And one more questions raised by that. The range of optimum bitumen content for permeable asphalt pavement.
That is 6 to 8% porous payment, right?
Okay. Sir, Sunil sir, you
Yes,
can
sir. Yes, sir.
unmute yourself and you can ask the question, sir.
Yeah, so first of all, my sincere congratulations and appreciation for a very nice presentation, because sustainable pavement is really a great concern of the entire country nowadays, and particularly in the context of the smart cities. I would like to ask one question, that every year in India, we spend crores of rupees in repairing the potholes. So
Yes.
can we develop some technology, sustainable technology, to solve the issue of potholes?
Yes, sir. There are already technologies available. One mix which is used is Kandal mix. Professor Kandal mix, it is there, and that mix is prepared with cutback bitumen. Cutback bitumen. There are other technologies which is used by Hincall. Hincall, they have a bond. Hincall bond is there. So they also use pothole mix as a ready mix. The pothole mixes are available as a ready mix. One is Kandal mix, which is cutback bitumen based, whereas the Hincall or other technologies used with bitumen emulsion.
Okay.
But they have their own technology as an additive. That is, in addition to the bitumen emulsion, they are using an additive which is not disclosed by them, but that is acting as a water resistant. That is my anti-slipping agent. So even if the surface is wet, that pothole mix can be placed and then it can be compacted with manual compaction itself.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. So the second query is from Bharat Singh Rawat. How can we decide whether if hot place recycling is feasible, and is it used in India, as it requires a train of machinery as seen in many videos?
Yes. Yeah, I was mentioning in the presentation itself. hot in replace recycling is feasible if I am not considering the pollution point of view. That means because of the train of equipments, that means more number of vehicles are there in situ, especially in situ recycling. That is first heating and then the milling, then mixing, then again degradation, and then again remixing, then spreading, compaction. All those equipments will be followed at the stage because to avoid the mixing and compaction temperature. So there is a heat in energy involved. So automatically when more number of equipments or machineries are running, then the emissions, just consider the emissions from the machineries. That's why I said that it may not be feasible in sustainable point of view. That is in terms of pollution, okay, emission point of view only. Whereas if you take as a sustainable technology as a recycling one, both hot and replace or cold and replace or hot central plant or cold central plant, all are feasible project for sustainable technology. It is only based on the locality. If I am going for hot and replace recycling within the city, the people who are living or the industrial or the based on the land use, the people may object. And again, that because of the traffic, it may be objectionable. That is why I said it may not be feasible for the smart city development I was talking.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And sir, one more query. That is, nowadays we are switching over into the another technology, like from a diesel car or petrol car to electrical car, like that.
Yes.
Nowadays we are moving to from a black top to white top roads. So can we use this reclaimed asphalt in my concrete roads? Or
That
can
is
we,
because in the concrete road, there are two technology. One is unbonded and bonded technology. So where we use a leveling course as a just a PCC layer, dry lean concrete we'll use as a base layer. There we can use this recycled bituminous mixes as a base layer. Only thing is that it will be cement treated base layer, CTB.
So any other treatment I have to do for that reclaimed asphalt pavement aggregates?
Any other?
Any other treatment I have to adopt?
No.
While
Since that's
using
what
that,
cement treated.
white top.
Either it can be cement treated or emulsion treated.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Because of the aging of bitumen binder, the binding quality would have been lost. So for improvement, we can go for cement as well as the bitumen emulsion as a treatment, or even foaming bitumen also can be used.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, then in the same sustainable materials, they added the rubbers. That is the shredded rubbers. They are added in that bitumen, sir, for making that permeable roads.
Okay.
Recently, so many videos are showing that permeable roads. We want to absorb all the rainwaters immediately. Should not run off on the surface of the road. Like that, they are giving that, sir. So in that, any other recommendation is there? Because I tried in our laboratory while adding that the crumped rubber, mesh 40 and mesh 30 and mesh 20 we used that. But the property totally changed in the ductility property and in the flash and fire property. So what is the recommended dosage of that crumped rubber, or any other things I have to add before placing that in the road?
No, especially the crumb rubber, what is that size between?
That is 40, sir. They are telling that.
Okay, because the problems will arise during the storage after mixing to the binder. So you are mixing to the binder only, right? Bitumen directly.
Okay.
But it should not be. The wet mix, it is so far the research are proving that wet mix is not successful. The dry mix we have to try. That is, whatever the additive waste dry rubber, if you are trying, that should be added to the aggregate first. Then the binder should be added to the aggregate mix. Okay. If you remember, even the waste plastic methods also, as per the IAC guideline, That also suggests the dry mix only, not the wet mix.
Okay, sir. So I have to add, first I have to add with the aggregates, then only I have to add with the bitumen, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes,
But
yes.
it is a
yes.
powder only, no, sir. Our crumb rubbers are just a powder.
Yeah, that's why I'm suggesting that.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your lively interactions with all our participants. And thank you once again on behalf of the management and on behalf of our participants also. We place our sincere gratitude to you for accepting our invitations. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your presentation, sir.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Oh, Dr. Vinod also there. Okay.
Yes, sir. Next section is Dr. M. Vinod.
Okay, okay.
Is going to take
Thank you,
lead
Dr.
after
Rajesh.
lunch. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes. So,
Shall I leave the meeting?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, I request the participant. Now, the time is exactly 1:30, 1:25. So, we can meet at 2:30. And our guest also already ready. Dr. M. Vinod already here in our meeting. So, welcome, sir. A special welcome I will give after that lunch, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for it. And that link also shared for morning 10th session and 11th session also it's shared. So you can copy that and you can do that. Thank you one and all. Now I am closing this meeting and we will meet at 2:30. Thank you.